What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, FightfulWrestling.com. Go over there and get all of your wrestling news. We had a great team tonight. Jeremy Lambert, Andrew Thompson, Joe Hulbert covering Monday Night Raw. Over on FightfulSelect.com, our premium service. I've started to run my blog live. It doesn't go up until the next morning on Fightful.com, but at Tier 2, you can get it a little bit early, as well as several things, interviews, columns, lots of good stuff over there. Go check out FightfulSelect.com so I don't have to plug it anymore. You'll find something you like. We have doubled our subscriber base over the last couple of months. So I want to thank you guys so much for that. Speaking of Select, programming note for this week, no listing your boy on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Jimmy Van is out of the office, so I'll be giving you a free preview of that Fightful Select service with a Q&A show live. Usually I record them and do them, but considering we're going to make this one free and open to everybody, I've decided to go live in that time slot. You don't have to subscribe to Fightful Select, but just register an account over at FightfulSelect.com or Patreon. You can submit a question right now. Lots of good stuff over there. We are joined tonight by Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing well. They're motoring towards some interesting storylines for Raw. And we got to see that Dave Batista's security detail consists entirely of extras from John Wick 3, which I did not have. So I'm really excited.
I know a lot of you are watching our show for the first time. We had a tweet kind of blow up today, the Becky Lynch situation. I had posted a friend of mine named Matt that I know from my hometown has moved closer to Tennessee, and he teaches an elementary school class, Alex. And I wanted to mention this because it's blown up my mentions all day to the point to where Becky actually just responded again. This girl was in her class coding a website and devoted the website to Becky Lynch, and it was, quite frankly, really heartwarming and adorable what I saw. And I saw so much of myself and anybody else who's been a wrestling fan as a kid in this kid, and about how pro wrestling and Becky Lynch in particular gave her confidence, helped her stand up to bullies, taught her to be better to authority, which is kind of funny.
Kind of the opposite, but okay.
Taught her to believe in herself. And I posted it up there, and I get a lot of people that will be like, oh, can you help me meet this person? Can you help me get this autograph? I don't do that. That's not what I can do. That's nothing that I can make happen. But I was like, all right, I'm verified on Twitter. Maybe I can get Becky Lynch's eyes on this. And she replied and said, that warms my heart too. And Becky Lynch is deep into her character on social media. Mm-hmm. Her character is social media.
Yeah.
And this girl is like, I want to become a pro wrestler. How about this? I later find out her father actually wrestled in WWE, WCW, and TNA.
Wow.
Yes, he's appeared in all three, which is kind of awesome. And Becky actually just replied and said, tell her I'll see her in the ring one day. Things like that, sometimes you lose perspective of who this can often be for. And that kid's life is made. A couple of comments from Becky Lynch that probably took 15 seconds total. This kid is never, ever, ever going to forget that. And that's pretty cool, man. Like, I don't get starstruck about interviewing people. It's another day at work. That's just what it is. And most of these people don't want to hear from me if they don't have to, because usually it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of respect to Becky Lynch. I'm sure she does this all the time.
Right.
And I know at meet and greet, she's great, but I got to see this firsthand, and I have a lot of respect for her for doing that. Not only just because of her doing that, but quite frankly, she's in the highest profile position that any woman in the history of pro wrestling has ever been in right now. I don't think that can be understated enough.
No, it's true. It's great where because you see a lot of talents when they're further down the card, they interact more with the fans and stuff, and then when they for lack of a better term, they start big timing it. When they get to be bigger stars, and it's great to see when people who actually don't forget what the struggle was like, and they're still able to connect with their fans even when they become giant stars.
Well, you know what I like about this? This is a little
it?
girl who's
Yeah.
like, I want to headline WrestleMania one day.
There you go.
If that isn't a ringing endorsement
Yeah.
of a lot of what's been going on this show and the top programs
Right.
on this show, you have elementary school age girls that are like, oh, I can do that. I
Yeah.
can go and do that.
Right. I mean, my daughter is 2. And by the time that she is this girl you're talking about's age, who knows what the landscape's going to be like? I mean, is it going to be? Right now, the major deal is that the men on the roster outnumber the women by a very large ratio. Will that be closer to 50-50 by the time in another 10 years? Who knows?
Well, I'll say this, based on what I've learned, I was able to speak to her brother who also wants to get involved in the wrestling business. He's doing a lot of PR related stuff. Her father, as I mentioned, Chris Michaels, who has appeared in TNA, WCW, and WWF. That's a solid start.
Yeah.
That's a solid foot in the door.
It is.
So a lot of I just wish the best for her. Seeing that reaction made my day, and being able to be a part of that was one of the best things I've ever been able to do covering this. And I hope that I get to cover her wrestling one day. That would be really, really awesome. But we have Monday Night Raw to talk about. I want your thoughts in totality. We did a really long Fastlane show last night.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great reactions to that. People were saying that's one of me, you, and Jeff's best shows. How did you feel they followed up?
Well, good. I mean, there's more stuff now leading up to where we're going to wind up for Mania. As I said, this is as deep into Mania season as I can remember, where a whole lot of stuff is kind of up in the air. They did a title change now tonight for the IC title. We'll talk about that. And now without automatic rematches, we have no idea who's going to be fighting for that IC title come Mania. That's a major deal. They've I think solidified in stone the Roman Reigns program for Mania, which is a major step. We now know that Kurt Angle is wrestling his last match for WWE ever at Mania. That's a major thing. Who's it going to be against? We probably have some ideas about that. The tag picture looks like it's pretty much solidified at this point. The champs are taking it, attacking their number one challengers who stepped up and showed who the real number one challengers are. All that kind of stuff is going forward. I wish, we got kind of a surrogate for the top champion decided to show up and rekindle an old team. So that's interesting. There's a lot. Listen, I'm usually the guy who craps all over Raw, but I can't when they're actually moving all of these storylines forward. That's what I want to see, as opposed to just as Kristen Ashley wrote, the same thing again, but backwards, which is basically what they always do.
Also, quite some big news today ahead of this Raw. Harlem Heat's going in the Hall of Fame.
Harlem Heat.
There aren't a lot of times when I read a headline and I pop. Boy, did I pop. And not just because it got some extra clickety-clacks on our Harlem Heat lyrics video, or making a finisher, which is up now. Stevie Ray talks about the Slapjack and Harlem Heat tag team finishers. I love this tag team. My favorite WCW tag team. Maybe with the exception of Sting and Luger, but I don't necessarily count them because they were inconsistent.
Right. Yeah.
I loved Harlem Heat. I
them.
do wish that Sherry was going in with them, but you better damn well believe Sherry's getting shouted out in that speech.
Oh, hell yeah.
And guys, if you all ever get a chance to listen to Stevie Ray's podcast, that is a listen. He is great. He is very transparent. He's a very honest man. Alex, I'm so happy to see Harlem Heat going in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Harlem Heat too. Even when they were, it was a different time, early 90s, and the way, these two large black gentlemen are from Harlem. We're running shows primarily in the South. Those guys are definitely going to be the heels. But they were so exciting to watch. It wasn't like, these guys are just jerks. like they were a lot of fun to watch. Like it was a really cool team to follow. And I love these guys. I mean, I think it's fantastic that they're still Harlem Heat. And you know, they're going into the Hall of Fame in New York, so it's kind of like close to home, even though they're actually from Houston. But that's fine. It's a lot. Listen. I loved Harlem Heat back in the '90s in WCW. It's kind of great that Booker T came out of that tag team, already got into the Hall of Fame as the singles wrestler. But let's not forget that he started out without Harlem Heat. There would have been no Booker T. So it's great that they're actually putting Harlem Heat in there to acknowledge that major part that created Booker T.
One of the things I had realized as I got older, I don't know if you ever heard the Chris Rock stand up about how people would say, "Oh, Kobe's so cuddly. He's so cuddly," because he's standing next to Shaq all the time.
Exactly.
That was Booker T. You don't realize that the man was so huge because he was standing next to Stevie Ray.
Stevie Ray was a massive man.
When he was doing Harlem Hangovers, it's like, oh, wait, that's real hard to do. And then Stevie Ray told me in an interview, he goes, well, he gave a guy an actual hangover and he had to stop doing the move. Also, boy, did this was just a good day. A day that made me smile as much as any in pro wrestling. Stokely Hathaway got signed by WWE.
Yep.
Robert Strauss, Robbie E, got signed by WWE. You also have Cal Bloom, son of Wayne Bloom. Man, I'll call Stokely a buddy of mine. He is. I had him run in on the broadcast. Man, there are not many more that deserve it. And I congratulated him, and I said, man, you are going to change the careers of a lot of people. You were going to help the careers of a lot of people. Alex, I was in particular begging for this when the Authors of Pain were brought up.
No, yeah, this is the thing. Like, you know, this is the deal, is that they're now getting more in the lines of, you know, Leo Rush is out there as a quote unquote hype man. I don't know if they'll ever get around to really calling Stokely Hathaway somebody's manager, but that's what he's going to be. And he's going to be great at it. He's going to make the careers of people that he manages. And it's going to be great. They got away from managers, like, on purpose. They said, we're not doing that anymore. And by signing him, you're saying we're doing that again because there's no other reason to sign this guy. And he's going to be
whoa. You got to, say Matt Riddle retires Brock Lesnar. Who are you going to have to shoot on Matt Riddle if you don't have Stokely on the roster?
That's true. You got to do it.
He is the insurance policy.
He is. He absolutely is.
A lot of people will see the Robbie E signing and go, oh, really? Really? Watch his Robert Strauss character work. Mm-hmm. This is incredible stuff that he did as Robert Strauss. He went complete 180. His gimmick was a social media influencer. It was nothing short of fantastic. I loved it. Really good stuff. We did a bro or no feature with Robbie E, where he decided if Zack Ryder, Matt Riddle, Vince Russo, DDP were bros or no. And there were some that he said no to.
Interesting.
I am very, very happy about that. Stokely Hathaway, I pointed this out, and this is not a slight on other independent workers. MJF and Stokely Hathaway are the two best examples of old school character work blended with modern day technology in order to maximize your potential. One signed by AEW and is stealing the show on being the elite, and the other one is signed by WWE. I couldn't be happier for these two. Could not be happier for these two. Just awesome stuff. But we do have Raw to talk about, and some stuff happened.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to isolate these videos because so many happen, but I will do individual quick news clips on these. But leave us a thumbs up on this video. Hit the subscribe button. The Shield kick off Raw in what is said to be their farewell address. You buying it, Alex?
Well, I don't know, man. We're going to see by the end of the night that they're starting down a pathway of kind of, you know, divide and conquer with these guys now. Listen, I mean, if something isn't the first, then it's always the last with WWE. So the last time was last night, and because there was a last match, but I don't know. I'll never put it past WWE to do something the last time 10 times, but it felt real. It felt good. I mean, this was cool. It was nice to see these guys out there together, throwing down bro hugs with each other. It felt like it was close to the end if it wasn't the end.
I'm not going into a Blue Chew segue there about how good it felt and how real it felt, how you're close to the end. I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep this show G-rated tonight.
All right.
Tonight.
All right.
Oh, man. Reigns says that if this is it, he's okay with it. He has no regrets. He's on the road to WrestleMania, but he needs to have a one-on-one match first. Reigns and Ambrose leave Rollins in the ring to talk about Brock Lesnar, but he's interrupted by Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Rollins and Heyman take turns saying Brock Lesnar's name. That was real weird. I didn't need all that.
No.
But Rollins points out something that I really liked. I love callbacks. And pointing out that Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Daniel Bryan took Brock Lesnar to his limit was a real good touch, Alex. I like that. That is consistency. That is good stuff. Rollins says it. He has trouble with people my size and stature, with quickness and agility. Good stuff. Hey, go ahead.
I will say I'll give him the agility, but only in the mind of Vince McMahon are Finn Balor and Daniel Bryan the same size as Seth Rollins. Like
that is a good point.
Smaller, but he's
good 30 pounds difference there.
Yeah. That's not the same thing. There's a happy medium. I know in Vince's mind you're either a small guy or a giant guy, but there's a happy medium with several shades of gray in between.
So I don't know what a brand split is anymore because Shelton Benjamin shows up. Now, granted, Shelton Benjamin has not been on SmackDown since October, so he is only technically a SmackDown wrestler.
He appeared on Mustafa Ali's debut episode on SmackDown to welcome him to the SmackDown roster with a hearty handshake in the back. He didn't wrestle. He hadn't wrestled for months, but there he was saying, "You're okay. You can be here," because I think everyone kind of recognizes him as being one of the old heads who's, maybe a gatekeeper. That's fine. But he went from that, which was very, I wouldn't say babyface, but certainly a decent dude, to I'm backing up the worst dude on the roster on a different show. Fine, cool.
I got to have some explanation to this. Why is Matt Hardy on Raw? Why is Kevin Owens on why is Matt Hardy on SmackDown? Why is Kevin Owens on SmackDown? Maybe have Vince say, hey, we kind of let some contracts lapse during this fan-friendly era to see what sticks. I'm okay with that. Just explain it to me.
They're going to do their international soup shake following WrestleMania. And I think that's the perfect time to say, we've been testing people on different brands.
Yes.
Tonight, that ends. People are drafted to different brands, and that's the way it's going to be from now on. All these people who've been floating the new NXT call-ups, who are on this brand or that brand, they're all going to a specific one, and they're staying there. But you can, as long as they actually say, and they acknowledge that they've been playing kind of fast and loose with the whole brand split thing. Like somebody said to you on Twitter, all they have to say is that Matt Hardy was traded for Shelton Benjamin. It's done. Move on. Look how fast that was. 2.5 seconds. But they never take the time to actually just explain something.
Yeah, that's all. I'm with you. I think the soup shake is a perfect time to do it. I sent a message to somebody in the company, and I said, please, God, make sense of this. Because I've enjoyed the direction of a lot of things and how they close a lot of holes. But there are some glaring ones, man. And if it doesn't matter to you guys, or if it doesn't matter to them, how are we supposed to care? That's the way that I always take this. Shelton Benjamin got beat by Seth Rollins. This was a solid TV match. Before Monday night, Shelton's last match on Raw was April 2009 against Christian. Paul Heyman joins commentary, and I love the idea of Shelton bringing that back and being the opponent. I'm not trying to compare him to Jannetty, but it had a very Marty Jannetty faces Kurt Angle before the Shawn Michaels Kurt Angle match type of thing. It had that type of feel to me. It made sense. I liked it. Heyman says that Shelton isn't a friend of Brock's. He's a trainer, which, dare I say, gives him even more credibility, Alex.
Sure. Yeah. What I loved is that he's basically hitting Seth with all of Brock's moves. Like I watched Shelton for his entire run when he was working with Chad Gable as a tag team. He was hitting German suplexes on people. Shelton wasn't. So now Shelton's in there giving Seth a taste of what it's going to be like, except those Germans are going to be thrown by what? 35, 40 pounds on Shelton. So yeah, it felt I like going back to that old tag team, the Minnesota Stretching Crew.
Yeah, I like it too. Shelton Benjamin was maybe my last favorite pro wrestler. Shelton did a great step-up apron kick. I think he belongs in matches like this. Anytime that Shelton Benjamin has been put in there with a feature performer on Raw or SmackDown, dating back to his old run, he's always delivered. Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Christian, Triple H. Anytime he's been in that role, he's thrived, and he's done really well. His German suplexes looked really, really great. I enjoyed that. Heyman gets a phone call and announces that Lesnar will be at Raw next week. We end this match with a Rana into the turnbuckle, a sling blade, and a springboard clothesline for Rollins, but Shelton goes for the F5. Rollins counters it with the stomp. What a great touch. Seth Rollins picks up the win. Up next, Intercontinental title match. Bobby Lashley defeated Finn Balor to become the new champion again. Balor encounters Rollins on the ramp, a nice friendly exchange. Lashley applies a vice, and Alex, what do we know about a vice?
I don't know, Sean. What do we know about a vice?
Nothing can escape a vice. Nothing is tighter than a vice.
That's true. Oh, yeah, but we're gonna keep it G-rated, I thought.
I mean, excuse me, sir. Jesus. Jesus. You know, I do like callbacks, especially when you don't remember your own.
I know.
My God. Balor has one of his best drop kicks I think he's ever thrown in this match. Also, one of his best kicks off the apron. A bunch of cool stuff happened during the commercial. Barricade slam. Lashley dropped Balor across the apron. Lashley can't hit the deposit, but he does get snake eyes, and I mean a real good one. Sling blade and a drop kick, but then the bell starts ringing. It's Lio Rush out there. And for, all the complaining we did about the trajectory of Lio Rush, he's went above and beyond to get back in the good graces of Bobby Lashley. So I think eventually, when this split does happen, I think it works because Lio is proving himself to Bobby Lashley. I like this. I like the way that they went with it. Bobby Lashley ends up getting the win, and Lashley is thrilled. It's almost the Miz and his dad moment. Bobby Lashley was never proud of Lio Rush until this moment.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is good for Lio. It's good for Lashley. I don't know if it's great for Finn. I don't know what the plans are, but with the non-automatic rematch clause, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with this here. I'm assuming Finn gets back in the title picture. This is probably one of those multi-man matches. Intercontinental's usually
all
good
matches
for that.
Are multi-man matches, unless it's like Kenny Omega wrestling a blow-up doll.
Yeah, it's a 3 or more.
There we go.
Several man matches. It's one of those several man matches they have at WrestleMania. Usually do that with the Intercontinental title. Maybe this will be the ladder match.
Well, there was some frustration last night at Fastlane because a lot of people don't know what they're doing at WrestleMania yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't, so I'm not surprised.
No.
They don't.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to say,
what I mean? Like
it's straight up. There were several wrestlers that said, "I have no clue what I'm doing at Mania." To me,
usually they like to telegraph that several months out in advance, but they haven't been doing that yet.
Well, let's be fair to them. They didn't know they were having NXT call-ups. They didn't know that Roman Reigns was going to come back quite like he did. I mean, they knew a little bit earlier. They had a feeling, I'll say that, but he didn't get cleared until then. Also, they didn't expect Dean Ambrose to want to hit the bricks. They probably expected the Usos to re-sign. They didn't expect AJ to rake him over the coals.
Right.
Quite frankly, they didn't expect the Kofi Kingston thing to happen. They didn't expect the Mustafa Ali injury to happen. There were a lot of things they didn't expect. Also, they can just bring back the damn automatic title rematch if it keeps them from saying there is no automatic title rematch 40 times a week.
That's true.
Ronda Rousey's out, tells the crowd to shove it, and calls them bandwagon bitches. For someone who said that she's not following the script anymore, she sure sounded like she was reading from a script, Alex.
Yeah.
Written by Paul Heyman.
Yeah. She hates WWE so much. She doesn't want to be here. She hates it. I want her to come out and say, listen, the money is so good, you guys. I'd quit and walk away. I just leave this stupid, worthless belt here in the middle of the ring and watch.
That way you know it's a shoot.
Exactly. She'd do it that way. And I would watch.
She would.
But the money they're paying me, oh my, it's more money than any of you will ever see in your lives.
She should really accentuate sarcastically all the band terms. You fans.
The WWE universe. You're fans. You're a crowd. Come on. Whatever. She could do all the things that she wants to do. But I mean, I want that to be the reason. Like, I know I can beat Charlotte and Becky, no problem. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to beat them. And the money I'm going to make off of that match is going to be so great, I can retire. Something like that. But otherwise, what I don't know is why you're even here and doing this, Ronda, if you hate being here so much.
Yeah. She calls Becky and Charlotte fake or jokes and throws down the mic. Dana Brooke is out next in very good shape. Says that she has nothing to lose and she's tired of Ronda's venom. Outside of that lame-ass line, Dana Brooke talked about how she didn't want Ronda Rousey to disrespect the locker room, never got her chance and screamed at Ronda, got her ass kicked real proper.
Yeah.
Real proper. And Rousey slapped a ref. I had a lot of people saying, well, it should have been somebody else. And I'm thinking, well, it doesn't work if it's somebody else because everybody else pretty much gets their chance. Ronda's beat up Mickey. Ronda's beat up. She can't beat up Ember right now. Yeah. Alexa is doing her own thing. I thought Dana was the perfect person for this. Dana cut a pretty solid promo, I thought.
And she works because she's the person who you never see on TV. She's never been given a chance. And she loves this business so much that she has an incredible respect for it. And that's the opposite of Ronda, who was given every opportunity and every leg up and every chance because they wanted to push her and make her this giant star. And she is completely ungrateful for it. It's the opposite of that is Dana Brooke. However, when Dana Brooke came out, I was like, oh, Dana, honey, no, this is not going to end well for you. Like it was, and it didn't. It was exactly what I thought was going to happen. But credit to her to come out and say, like, I'm going to speak up for the women's locker room who you've been disrespecting ever since you've been here. I think that, that shows, something people can relate to. Unfortunately, they can also relate to the fact that she got dumped directly on her head in that Piper's Pit.
Oh, yeah. Guys, if you all don't mind, head over to Fightful.com. Click that exclusives tab. I have an interview up with Adam Hangman Page talking AEW, what ring size he prefers, what he hopes they go with. Brandon Howard Thurston did an analysis of George Barrios, the co-president of WWE, his defense of WWE's declining popularity metrics. This is very interesting. He talks about how minutes watched is their gauge of popularity these days. Every week I post the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. It has about 1,000 words worth of exclusives, things that didn't fit into articles, maybe behind the scenes stuff. And I post those early for Fightful Select Tier 2 subscribers. I have an interview with Magnum TA about the Crockett Cup. We talked to Jeff Hughes ahead of his UFC debut about his love of WCW. I have interviews up with Shane Helms. Lots of stuff. Lots of exclusives there all the time. And, of course, subscribe to Fightful Select. We also have that resources section. I know a lot of you see articles where other websites post injury report update lists and contract update lists, they take it from us. They, quite frankly, usually copy and paste our list right over to their site. Myself, Andrew, Jeremy, we're updating that oftentimes 3 or 4 times a day. So keep your eye out on that as well. That's something I cover every week on Fightful Select on our podcast as well. So after the Ronda Rousey beatdown, by the way, she slapped the ref real good too. That was,
yes, she did.
That's pretty solid. Aleister Black and Ricochet defeated Rude and Gable. I like these fast-paced, breakneck speed tag team matches. They can't always be like this. This one needed to be a bit longer. We're not getting those matches that on my rating scale, Alex, would hit 6 out of 10 much anymore. But dare I say it's made for more digestible programming.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I'm fine with this. I think this is interesting. It's like the way that these particular teams wrestle. Like if that's the story they're trying to tell, that if you have the B team in there with the Ascension, are they going to wrestle these breakneck sprint, giant spot after giant spot matches? Probably not. But these guys, they're countering into counters and all this kind of stuff because they're incredibly athletic, great tag teams, great individual performers, and have scouted the other teams because they're also technically proficient. That's the story I can believe among the Revival, Aleister and Ricochet and Rude and Gable. I can believe that, and I think that that's fine in these matches. I like what I saw tonight between these two. I like that Aleister and Ricochet put a stamp on it and said, we're the top challengers. And Rude and Gable are a strong third compared to the B team, but they're definitely a distant third compared to the second place team.
Bobby Roode is so good as a tag team wrestler.
He really, really is.
And I hate to highlight that because quite frankly, I'm just not as interested in him as a singles guy, but there's nothing wrong with being an amazing tag team wrestler. And he is legitimately one of the best ever in pro wrestling history at being a tag team wrestler. Yeah. And he's been able to do it with a lot of different guys. Yeah. And that isn't easy to be able to transition. Okay, Team Canada, let's have at it. James Storm, sure. Chad Gable, yeah, sure. Anybody, he makes it work so well. Even his solo offense looks better. The backbreaker, the spine buster, looked great. He and Gable do the assisted moonsault, loved it. Rude and Gable hit the German blockbuster, scary spot. Fireman's carry knee hits for Ricochet, Black Mass from Aleister, they get the win. You know how they say your character in wrestling should be yourself turned up to 11? Yes. Ricochet's is him turned down to like 1.5. Paducah, Kentucky's own Ricochet, dreaming big. That ain't Ricochet.
No.
And that is not Ricochet to anybody who has ever known him. I do not know him, but I know a lot of people who do. That is not him.
No, it's the story they want to tell with that. Because I'm a cynic and I'm jaded. I often wonder watching this thing if the end game for these guys getting called up permanently after Mania, probably going to be on Raw, is for them to hold the tag titles for a while and then split off. And because Aleister's the dark and brooding one with he's going to be the one who's the heel, and he and Ricochet are going to be, split up. The tag is going to split up, and Ricochet is going to be super white meat babyface. But you can have him have some edge and not be like, man, growing up in Paducah, Kentucky, I never thought I'd even be here. Like, that's just a little too much.
A few minutes before he does a 6:30.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things. I wake up every day and I think, golly gee, Rick, you're so lucky to be here. Like, no, that's not a thing. You can give him a little bit more edge.
Yes. The Revival attack on the ramp. I like that. Help get them over too.
Yeah. Well, this the other thing is at the end of the match at Fastlane, like I felt like Aleister Black and Ricochet were kind of sore losers. Like they lost and they decided to attack everybody. I'm like, oh, okay, good for you. But like, and also we didn't, Tasha mentioned this last night. That 6:30 that Ricochet landed on Dash was not the normal, like, continued somersault where he lands on his shoulders and keeps going. That was all butt directly into Dash's guts. I'm like, the fact he doesn't have a couple of cracked ribs is a miracle.
Butts to guts.
Yep.
That's how you do it, guys. Reminder, if you donate a super chat on YouTube during our live show, we will answer your question. A moment of bliss. Alexa Bliss puts over her scoops about the WrestleMania host.
Yep.
Alexa Bliss turned it into the scoop lord. I don't like it. She mentions Kim Kardashian, The Rock, New Day. And it's Alexa who is the host. The crowd chants, yes, they like it. Yeah, sure. She's not wrestling these days. Let her be the host. I don't care.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, at this point, though, the other thing is, what would she be doing otherwise? In the women's battle royal? Okay, this is a much more high profile spot for her. I think that where she's going to wind up going is more along the lines of 25% in-ring performer and 75% other stuff that keeps her on TV all the time. You know, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video of her training with Quackenbush.
Of course I did.
Like, she's incredibly athletic and still really good in the ring. And if you're not going to let her do that, you're not going to, like, if you're going to wind up saying that anytime you're in the ring, Alexa, you have to cower in fear and cheat, as opposed to really be athletic and fun to watch, then I'd rather see her do stuff on the mic as opposed to just being the same one-note chicken shit heel.
To be quite honest with you, from a singles perspective, what hasn't she done?
Right, exactly.
You know, she's missing the elusive 10 out of 10 match, something like that. Don't know that she's ever getting that. No disrespect to her.
Right.
Eventually, she can have a tag run. That's a thing I really love about the tag division.
Yes.
Freshens people up. But though I'll put it like this, because there were some people who were like, oh, why not have her in a match? She can be in the Battle Royal any year. She can be in the Battle Royal this year still. But look at New Day. Yeah. What were they going to do during that WrestleMania where they hosted? I don't know. But forever, they're going to be involved in that Hardy Boys return clip where they bring the Hardy Boys out. They move out of the way for the Hardys. And you'll remember, hey, those guys hosted WrestleMania. That's not something you can do in a year.
Right.
I mean, quite frankly, if she just asks, can I be in that Battle Royal? They're going to say, yeah, sure. Why the hell not? We'll open up a spot for somebody else.
Why not? Yeah.
No big deal. Braun Strowman's backstage being asked about Colin Jost. He's then told that his new car is waiting outside. Colin Jost has sent him a car, which they are using to market a toy. Hey, good, smart business. I like it. But he tears this thing apart. That's what Braun does. I'm okay with that. But does Braun even get a WrestleMania match at this point?
He won't be booked in it before the event, but during the event, he will have a match versus Colin Jost. It'll be either him versus the 2 Weekend Update guys, him versus Jost with Shay and Jost corner, or it's me and Michael versus you and any partner you can find. And his mystery partner will be Nicholas, and Nicholas will get the pin on Colin Jost, and that's how they're going to tell the story 2 years in a row, with Braun Strowman being a kids tag team partner, because that's the best they could think of to do with this incredibly, like, massive.
He was the guy talent. At one point, Alex.
He was absolutely the guy. And they said, nope, we'd rather you be a comedy sideshow.
He was the guy. I do love that Braun tore it up because it was too small for him. The car.
Mean, that's fine. It was. I love that they were like, well, here the toy is this convertible. It's red with a black hood. Somebody find us an actual car that looks like the toy, so that we can market the toy with this video of him tearing up an actual car. Like, it's very cynical, but hey, it's going to sell toys.
I mean, sure. That's
yeah.
Look at the top of our show. That's who we market to.
Sure.
Lacey Evans comes out, whispers something in the announce team, and hits the bricks. Elias gets a great reaction because they're in their hometown, or in his hometown. I love the Antonio Brown reference.
Sure.
It was so topical. It was so perfect to be there. And he's interrupted by No Way Jose. I don't know what's going on with No Way Jose's hair, but he got his ass whipped. Yeah. Boy, did he get his ass whipped. This was the male equivalent to what Dana Brooke did earlier, minus the promo.
Right. Well, because, I mean, him in a conga line is basically his promo, which is That's it. It's one of those deals where, like Shelton Benjamin, I felt like when he showed up, the crowd was like, do I know who this person is? Because, like if you haven't been watching for months, you go, oh, that's Shelton Benjamin. Why is Shelton Benjamin here? And with this, it's like, I don't know the last time No Way Jose had did something real on a Raw and supposed to conga line through the backstage area maybe once or twice in the past few months. So it's one of those deals where people are like, who is that? Is that No Way Jose? What did No Way Jose do to his hair? There's no reaction because most of the reaction is just thought bubbles of question marks above people's heads.
I tuned in and watched the watch along last night that Pat McAfee ran, and they had Christian was there, the Iconics were there, EC3, even Sam Roberts. They do literally everybody a disservice, down to Sam Roberts, based on the lines that they feed these people.
Oh, they feeding them lines too in the back?
No. I mean, in general, it shines through how likable so many of these people are on the watch along. Even Sam Roberts, and I love his interviews, but man, and I get it, he's supposed to be a douche on these pre-shows, whatever. Natalya versus Nia Jax did not happen. Nia and Tamina encountered Lacey on the ramp, but I loved Natalya not just getting the people over she needed to, but Ronda Rousey too, saying, I didn't quite know Ronda Rousey the way that I thought I did, and I don't trust her anymore.
Right.
The way I look at it, 7 people got over in this segment, and I like that. And it was a match that didn't need to happen, and it didn't happen. She brings out an absolutely yoked Beth Phoenix.
I only it was one of those things where I didn't clock that's who it was because I was just looking at shoulders.
Can we get Jeff Hawkins on the line? Homeboy, what do you know about a physical prime? What do you know about it? Because Beth Phoenix just whipped out the guns for you, Jeff.
Oh, man.
She said, Jeff Hawkins says, what? I'm not in my physical prime. Let me show him.
Yeah.
She looked amazing.
Those deltoids were something, man.
Good God.
Oh, man.
Let me look like that at 37. Let me look like that at 33. Come on. This match doesn't last. Beth Phoenix comes in and clears house. Nia and Tamina run off, but they are welcomed in Gorilla by an ass beating from Sasha and Bayley. I like this. It took us out of the ringside area. One segment went into the next. Ronda got over because she was put over on the promo. Natalya and Beth got over. Beth got over by just not wearing sleeves. Tamina and Nia got over because everybody hates them, and you see that everybody hates them. Bayley and Sasha got over. I liked it.
Yeah, this is good. I particularly loved Fit Finlay in the corner, using every last strength he had to hold 75-pound Sasha Banks back. I think that was a really good little way to sell that about her, how angry she is at Nia and Tamina. I like that a lot. This is one of those segments that, I guess now we know what the program is for Mania. It feels to me like we're getting a several team match for the women's titles at Mania. I don't know if they add a 4th team, but it looks like it's probably going to be Sasha and Bayley versus Tamina and Nia versus Natalya and Beth. Maybe you add the Iconics and you can add a SmackDown team in there as well.
I would have liked if it were Raw, SmackDown, a Legend team, Divas of Doom count, and an NXT team. I would have liked the Io Shirai and Kyrie in there. You could have probably done Absolution. That would have probably been your best bet. But I don't know what's happening on SmackDown. Triple H comes out in street clothes. You don't see that much these days.
No. See, here's the thing. When Triple H decides to forego the suit and brings out the leather jacket and tapes the fists, some shit is going down. Like that's where the costume designer allows you to know what kind of Triple H you're going to see in that particular segment.
Batista, on the other hand, is wearing his DiBiase jacket without the dollar signs. with well-dressed indie scum security. Batista said that he learned from the dirtiest, Triple H and Flair, and he wants things on his terms, and he wants something. Triple H calls Batista a nose ring model. Triple H was on fire.
He was.
He said he called Dave's security the guardians of the independent scene. That was a phenomenal line.
That's good. That's good.
For those of you who don't know, the independent wrestlers do all the security work. Fun inside line there. Neat stuff. But then it wasn't so neat when they're like, no, yes, no, yes. You call me Dragon.
This is the idea of, you give me what I want. Oh, you want me to give you what you want? I want you to give me what I want. Well, I'm not going to give you what you want. You better give me what I want.
You got to call me Nighthawk. You got to call me Dragon. I will never call him Dad. Well, basically, it's career versus career at WrestleMania, no holds barred. I can get behind that. I'm going to enjoy that. I like it. I want to see Dave Batista. I don't want it to be his last match, to be honest with you, because I like Batista.
I kind of wanted this match Mania to be one for which I could root for Dave Batista, because I've come to really enjoy his work as a Hollywood star. And I wanted to be like, okay, well, like I like this guy when I see him on screen. I want to also like him when I'm watching him in WWE. But I guess I'm not allowed to, according to this particular program they're building.
Also, if I were WWE, by the way, Batista's 50 now. I would 100% try to put on The Rock versus Batista.
Yeah,
I don't know how you don't. I mean, it is two giant Hollywood stars against one another. Yeah, that has the potential of being one of the best or the biggest marquee matches in WrestleMania history. I would jump all over that. I would do that. I like this segment. All things considered, I'm gonna enjoy the match as well. I'm sure. Kurt Angle comes out, announces he's going to wrestle in his farewell match at WrestleMania, but says that he's going to have one last match here in Pittsburgh. Got a great reaction for that. His opponent is Apollo. Angle gets a nice belly-to-belly suplex. Cruz hits his signature spots. Cruz misses a frog splash. Angle wins with an Olympic slam. Now, a lot of people saying, oh, it needs to be a young guy facing Angle. There's nothing to talk about in this match, besides the fact that Angle got blown up in 3 minutes, which brings me to my next point. People saying, oh, it needs to be a young guy to get the rub. And I'm thinking, what rub? Huh? I don't know. He's been beaten. Baron Corbin's beating him every week.
It's a perceived rub.
Yeah.
The perception is the guy that retires Kurt Angle will get something out of having done that.
Well, let me tell you, Robert Kraft will let you know that perceived rubs from old guys don't exactly work out in the best at some points. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just need to back up and do the logical thing.
Yeah.
Angle versus Cena would be a solid one. I agree.
The poetry of it is perfect. Cena's first match in WWE was versus Kurt Angle. If Angle's last match in WWE is versus John Cena, that's full circle. You can't ask for anything better than that.
You know what I wouldn't hate if they're doing all this brand jumpiness? You get a Samoa Joe involved somehow. Samoa Joe, one of Kurt Angle's greatest opponents ever.
Sure. I mean, if that's the case, I don't want Joe to have the U.S. title anymore.
Well, I kind of do, because I can't think of two bigger representations of that title than Kurt Angle and
if Kurt Angle is wrestling his last match, it should not be for a title, because if he wins the match,
that's a good point.
You got to keep wrestling. So if you're gonna insert Samoa Joe, you find a way to get that title on somebody else. No automatic rematch clause anymore. So therefore, Samoa Joe could get involved in this. If you had a triple threat between Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, and John Cena, no title involved, just three veterans of our sport, going at it one last time, I wouldn't hate that at all. And it allows you to have Andrade versus Mysterio versus maybe Mustafa for the U.S. title. Can you imagine that match? Like, there's all sorts of things you could do with this.
WWE is not above having someone win the title and vacate it the next night. I mean,
no, they certainly are not.
They've done it a million times. They did it with Bret Hart winning the U.S. title. They did it with Vince McMahon winning the world title. Nicholas at last year's WrestleMania. Even Edge via retirement won a title match and
that's true.
Had to hang it up. We've seen it A lot. Angle raises Apollo's hand after the match. Roman Reigns is set to face Baron Corbin, but Drew McIntyre attacks him, hits a series of claymores. This was a one-night rebuild of Drew McIntyre, which we're going to get into, but let's talk about the beatdown first. A couple of good claymores. Roman Reigns sold this so well.
Yep.
He sold it like he just got back from battling cancer and got his ass kicked by a guy who could kick his ass. Masterful job.
Right. Not only that, but I love the idea of, because I mean, he took a few shots in that match last night in that 6-man tag, but not like he did with those claymores tonight. So I love the idea of, this is my first time getting my bell rung in 6 months, and whoa, I did not miss that. And also the pride of, he's not checking me out here in front of everybody. I liked that a lot too. There's also the thing of, I just got back from this cancer thing. I'm not getting taken out by a concussion for a month. Like all that is all there. And I also loved the way that Seth Rollins was there with him and taking, like, listen, no, trust me. We got to get you checked out, man. Because I mean, there's like some real concern. There was a lot of overlap there of Seth embodying the way he felt when Roman had to go away with cancer, of that concern coming back up again in Seth Rollins. I loved all of this. Masterful work all around.
Everybody just did so good. Baron Corbin did great by not showing up. That was also very awesome.
Some of his best work ever.
Ambrose did great.
Oh, I want to talk about this moment where he turns around at the door, because Seth goes in there with Roman. He turns around the door and he finds Triple H. He says, I want Drew McIntyre. He lays out all the stipulations, false count anywhere, no holds bar, all that stuff. And Trips is like, absolutely. There is a trope in war movies, or I find a lot, because I used to love watching those medieval battle movies of the best friend of the hero in the big final battle gets taken out and dies on the battlefield. With the hero holding his head in his hands, and the best friend always says something like, win this war for me. Like there's that trope in those old kind of movies that always gets me right here. I've always loved that kind of thing. And the idea that if you were going to tell a story, how can we get Roman Reigns as upset and crazy and as much of an avenging angel as possible to go into a Mania match versus a Drew McIntyre that has no title on the line because it doesn't need one? What's the perfect way to get to an absolute fever pitch for that match? You have Drew take out Ambrose a couple of weeks before Mania, so Ambrose isn't going to be a part of that. You have him unexpectedly take out Ambrose, and the reason he does is because Ambrose begs for the match. Because Ambrose wants to avenge his buddy Roman. It's all for certain. Like I talk about good storytelling. It's almost Shakespearean. I loved all of this setup. If they're doing what I think they're doing, and next week or over the next couple of days they talk about how Dean, he's done. Like he can't. He's taken to a medical center or whatever, and he's got a concussion at whatever. They could do a lot of stuff with the dramatics of it to push Roman toward that final place. I think it's perfect.
The match happens. I didn't necessarily love the content of the match, but I did love what it accomplished.
Right.
This was a one-night angle that made a guy that they had nerfed by having him get beat up by a guy who's on hiatus a lot.
Yes. And here's the other thing that I love about this. I'm watching this and I'm going, well, see, you can do this if you want. You can rebuild these people that you've systematically deflated. So that's what gives me hope that eventually they can do this over the course of a week or two with a Braun Strowman or whoever. Like they did this with Drew McIntyre tonight. Like I've been saying that he feels like the second most important guy in a stable that's led by Baron Corbin. Not anymore. Not anymore. Drew is the guy now. Like, he's the guy to take out Roman. You make me believe that he can do it when he's doing stuff like he did tonight.
Yeah, and I feel like Drew can even say, I let Dolph Ziggler drag me down even after we were teammates, because boy, did that not help him. And I get it. I know what Dolph Ziggler has said to Vince. He's like, oh, if I don't beat anybody, then what is it when they beat me? Dolph should have never, ever, ever beat Drew.
No.
Dolph was a vehicle to get Drew over. That's it. So Drew taunts Ambrose by saying Reigns squealed when he got beat up. They brawl up to the press box. Drew slings Ambrose into the wall. There's a suplex on the floor. Ambrose gets hit with stairs. A bunch of cool stuff happens during the commercial break. Ambrose hits Drew right in the penis.
Yep.
It's been a while. Drew's head gets smashed into a water bottle.
Yeah.
Then there was a terrible spot where Ambrose pushed McIntyre on the cart, which actually got covered up by bad production.
Yes.
They missed it. And then Corey Graves is like, don't think you got all of that one. I'm like, watch the monitor. Just watch the monitor.
Yeah.
Then Drew hits Ambrose right in the penis. Throws him into the LED boards with snake eyes. McIntyre uses a pencil to the eye.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Ambrose's head is trapped in the railing, and we get another, what I'd call a good one.
Yeah.
Now, this one only made it up to about par for me on my initial ratings. As I look back at this, I loved the finish, and I loved what it accomplished, so I'll push that up a little bit. But that Claymore was one of the best.
That Claymore with his head stuck in the railing, and there's nowhere for it to go, because a lot of it is like, if you roll with something like that, if you allow it to like propel you and you fall with it, that's fine. But if you've got nowhere to go and it's just that guy's foot and your head has nowhere to travel to, woof. I also just love that I mean, obviously this was all set up ahead of time, but I love that the force of the Claymore knocked the railing off the stairs, off its mount. That was really good too, man.
That was Raw. They made Drew McIntyre. They crowned a new champion. They set up two retirement matches for WrestleMania.
Well, not only that, did you see the end where somehow Ambrose staggers up to all fours, and Drew's like, well, now I got to give you another one, full force right in the middle of the face. Like, I'm waiting for the what happened after Raw, YouTube video, so they can show that, like, it's Seth comes out and tries to help Dean to his feet, and Dean stumbles everywhere. There's a lot of cool extra stuff that can come out of this as well.
Well, you guys can see all that stuff at FightfulWrestling.com. Go over there, guys. I love what we have done with this website. We don't give you 2-line articles. We post updates after Raw. We post them in the morning. We post them in the evening for the shorter stuff. And we give you articles full of substance. Andrew Thompson and Jeremy Lambert do a great job helping me out there. They are just an impeccable, great news team. Over on the boxing side, Carlos Toro rocks. We have David Tease on the MMA side, James Lynch bringing you exclusive interviews. It is incredible. The Division podcast, our women's wrestling podcast from Chris and Ashley, dropped this weekend. Check that out. Over on Select this week, Fightful Report podcast, NXT 205 Live UK review. Warren Hayes does that one. Go check that out. Steven Jensen with The Weekender. Alex, you'll be back here tomorrow.
I will. I mean, if SmackDown does as much to advance all the storylines heading into Mania as Raw did tonight, we're in for a jam-packed 2 hours.
Guys, hit the bell on YouTube. A lot of people saying that they don't get notified when we go live. Hit that bell. You will get notified each time we go live. I want to thank all of you who helped make that little girl's day that I mentioned at the top of the show. That was just awesome. That made my day. That is one of my favorite things to ever happen in this line of work. And I want to thank all of you all who retweeted it, who liked it, who commented on it. That made me so happy. Making somebody else that happy or having a part of it just was the best. So thank you guys so much. Leave us a thumbs up. Fightful. Subscribe.